What if the things that make you feel weak are actually proof that you are incredibly strong? Most people think mental strength means never breaking down, never crying, never struggling. But psychology tells a completely different story. Real mental strength is not the absence of pain, it is what you do with it. And today, we are going to talk about 10 signs that prove you are mentally stronger than you have ever given yourself credit for. Here's what modern psychology actually says about mental strength. Psychologist Amy Morin, who wrote the best-selling book on mentally strong people, defines mental strength not as toughness, but as the ability to regulate emotions, manage thoughts, and behave productively even when life gets difficult. In other words, mental strength is not about feeling nothing. It is about feeling everything and still moving forward. First sign, you are mentally stronger than you think. You ask for help when you need it. Most people believe that asking for help is a weakness, that strong people figure everything out alone. But psychology says the exact opposite. Asking for help requires self-awareness, knowing what you need. It requires humility, accepting that you don't have all the answers. And it requires courage, being vulnerable enough to reach out. These are not signs of weakness. These are signs of a highly developed mind. Mentally weak people suffer in silence because their ego cannot accept help. Mentally strong people ask because their goal is growth, not appearance. Second sign, you say no, even when it is uncomfortable. Setting boundaries is one of the hardest things a human being can do because it means disappointing people. It means risking conflict. It means choosing yourself over the approval of others. And most people simply cannot do it. But if you have learned to say no, even when your hands are shaking and your heart is racing, that is not selfishness. That is mental strength. Psychologists who study boundaries consistently find that people who maintain healthy limits have lower anxiety, stronger relationships, and a greater sense of self-worth, because they have learned the most important truth: you cannot pour from an empty cup. Third sign, you have failed, and you got back up anyway. This sounds simple, but think about how many people you know who gave up after one failure, who stopped trying because something didn't work the first time. You are not one of those people. Every time life knocked you down, something in you refused to stay there. Not because it didn't hurt, not because you weren't scared, but because you made a choice, consciously or not, to keep going. Psychologists call this resilience, and research by Dr. Martin Seligman at the University of Pennsylvania shows that resilience is one of the single greatest predictors of long-term success and happiness. You already proven you have it.
Fourth sign, you feel your emotions fully without running away from them. This is rarer than you think. Most people cannot sit with discomfort. They scroll their phones, they overeat, they stay busy, they distract themselves from anything that feels painful. But you feel it, you sit with it, you let it move through you. This is called emotional tolerance, and it is a hallmark of psychological maturity. People who can experience difficult emotions without immediately running from them develop a deeper understanding of themselves and a stronger ability to process and heal. Feeling deeply is not weakness. It is one of the most courageous things a human being can do. Fifth sign, you do not need everyone to approve of you. This is a big one. We live in a world that is designed to make you crave validation. Social media, comments, likes, the constant seeking of other people's approval. And yet, you have developed the ability to move forward even when people don't clap for you, even when no one notices, even when the only person who believes in you is you. Psychologists call this internal locus of control, the belief that your actions and your worth come from inside, not from external feedback. People with strong internal locus of control are consistently found to be more resilient, more motivated, and more satisfied with their lives. You are one of them. Pause here for a moment. Every sign we have covered, asking for help, setting boundaries, getting back up, feeling deeply, not needing validation, none of these look like strength from the outside. From the outside, they can look like vulnerability, like struggle, like someone who is just barely holding it together. But that is exactly the point. Mental strength was never meant to look impressive, it was meant to be real. And the remaining signs go even deeper. Sixth sign, you have learned, sometimes painfully, to let go of what you cannot control. This is perhaps the hardest lesson life teaches anyone. You cannot control what other people think of you. You cannot control outcomes, no matter how hard you prepare. You cannot control loss, change, or the passage of time. And at some point, you stopped fighting those truths. Not because you gave up, but because you understood your energy is finite, and spending it on the uncontrollable is the fastest way to destroy yourself. Stoic philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote about this 2,000 years ago, and modern psychology, through acceptance and commitment therapy, confirms it today. Accepting what cannot be changed is not resignation, it is wisdom. Seventh sign, you have started choosing peace over being right. There was a time when you would argue, when you would fight for the last word, when you needed people to understand your side. But something shifted. You started walking away from arguments that weren't worth your energy. You stopped explaining yourself to people who weren't willing to understand. You began protecting your mental space like it was something precious, because it is. Psychologists who study conflict resolution find that the ability to disengage from unproductive conflict is one of the clearest signs of emotional maturity. It takes far more strength to stay silent than to retaliate.
Eighth sign, you practice radical self-honesty. You know your flaws, not in a self-destructive way, but in a clear-eyed, honest way. You can look at yourself and say, I was wrong here. I need to work on this. This pattern is mine to own. Most people cannot do this. Their ego protects them from their own truth. But you have developed the rare ability to see yourself clearly, to hold yourself accountable without cruelty, to grow without pretending you have already arrived. This is called psychological flexibility, and it is one of the most powerful predictors of long-term mental health and personal development. Ninth sign, you follow through even when no one is watching. You said you would wake up early. You did. You said you would finish something difficult. You finished it. You made a commitment to yourself, and you honored it. This might sound small, but it is not. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you build what psychologists call self-efficacy, the deep belief that you are capable, that your word means something, that you can trust yourself. And self-trust, once built, becomes one of the most unshakable foundations a human being can stand on. The 10th sign, and the most defining one. You keep moving forward even when you cannot see the full path ahead. You don't have all the answers. You don't know exactly how things will turn out. The future is uncertain, and it always will be. And yet, you keep going. You take the next step. You make the next decision. You show up for one more day, one more attempt, one more chance. Not because you are certain of success, but because giving up feels worse than trying. That is not ordinary. That is extraordinary. Here is what is worth remembering after this video ends. Mental strength is not a destination. It is not something you either have or you don't. It is something you build, quietly, imperfectly, one hard day at a time. Every time you got up after falling, every time you felt something painful and stayed present with it, every time you chose growth over comfort, you were building it. You have been building it your whole life. And the fact that you are here, still trying, still learning, still showing up, is the clearest proof that you are already stronger than you think. You always were.